Good morning, guys. Still plenty of wind, and for the first time, we've seen some of the water that's been coming up actually get into some of this grassy area on the dune. So that means the water's taking away part of the beach for people to walk on. And frankly, there's been so many people coming out to this location to try to get pictures, like you see down there, of the really rough waves caused by these high winds and Hurricane Dorian right behind them. But there were so many people coming out, and so much of this beach has been taken away by the water. It was honestly a little bit crowded about 20 minutes ago with 2 or 3 different groups of people posing for pictures. And as we go even farther off to the right, you see the power that water's been pounding those rocks with all morning long. The one scary thing is that it's only going to get windier, and the storm is only going to get stronger as we expect it to make its way closer to Florida. But this is what we're seeing up and down this area. We're not quite down as far as Bathtub Beach. We're just a little bit shy of that. And once the sun has come up, people have been coming out and getting incredible pictures of the might of the storm. But now we're starting to see the water come up even to where we are. So we're even going to have to retreat even farther back up the beach and kind of into these paths near the sand dune to make sure that we can stay dry. Live in Stewart, I'm Kevin Barry, WPTV, News Channel 5. Tropical storm winds end stronger in southern Florida as Hurricane Dorian not only rips up some of the water, but also raising that water level 2 to 3 feet while bending palm trees back all morning long while people here in Florida prepare for Hurricane Dorian to get closer throughout their Tuesday. In Stewart, I'm Kevin Barry, News 5. Yeah, good morning, guys. We just got one of those bands that just came through. We got drenched, and then we come out, and it's already dried off a little bit. But you can still feel the mist, but also you can see the effects of those strong winds. On the ground here, we see a post from somewhere, but we're standing on one of the Riverwalk decks, and that doesn't match this deck. And so one of the police officers who walked by before said he thought it could have come from a dock somewhere else. And at high tide, he said this deck will fill with water, and so probably just floated right in. And you see some of the sediment and just everything from the water left here on the deck. We did talk to some police officers who were on their patrol early this morning. They were saying that, not to jinx it, but it was a pretty quiet night. They say most people are out of Stewart. The businesses are closed and boarded up. And as this wind keeps coming on, all they were really doing was getting calls for downed wires, getting calls for welfare checks, people wondering about some of their relatives. But now you see some of this wind on these palm trees, and it keeps getting stronger all morning long with those gusts and with those little bursts of intense rainfall. Live in Stewart, I'm Kevin Barry, WPTV News Channel 5. Hi guys, we're actually at Sewell's Point right now, just a little bit north of Stewart. We wanted to bring you out here because these winds seem pretty heavy, but this has been the constant wind. Sometimes we've gotten gusts that have gone a lot higher, and you're starting to see a lot of that water, those big waves coming up off the water, crashing into these rocks. When we were back in Stewart, we were talking to folks about how the water is a lot higher. They were concerned about some flooding down there. So far, last time we checked in, they weren't seeing it, but really these incredible winds, and you can see it obviously in the trees. That's been our mark all day long while we've been out here, and these incredible downpours have been sweeping through, kind of showing us the strength of some of those outer bands as well. But we've been all up and down the Stewart and Jensen Beach area, and out here feels like the strongest winds that we found, and certainly some of the roughest water all day long. Live in Stewart, I'm Kevin Barry, WPTV News Channel 5. Good afternoon, guys. We're on Sewell's Point. We're seeing most of the worst wind that we've seen all day long. And as we come over to the water, this has been rough since we've been here, but this is incredible at this point. We used to have some birds floating on the outside, and even some of those heavy waves weren't enough to knock them off. We're gonna walk away from some of that spray, but you can see how strong and how much of that water is churning and then popping up onto Sewell's Point here. And even these palm trees that we're standing on the upwind side of, you can see how much they're bending and how much sound that they're making as these strong winds come through. This has been some of the worst conditions as we've been sitting on this area for the last few hours. But even in just the last few minutes, I know that all the data is showing that the hurricane is moving away, and it is, and things are starting to reopen. Different parts of the community are coming back online. But then also you see this kind of action on the water, and this has been pretty busy all day long. But Still, this is incredibly strong with these gusts of winds that make you almost have to brace yourself and lean into them just to stay upright. And what we're seeing also now in the last few hours are more people coming out to take pictures of this and come out with their family, drive their cars down, and kind of see what this is all about, because this is one of the few areas that we stumbled across today, spending most of our day in Stewart and now at this location. This is by far the most kind of intense water action that we've seen, and some of the highest wind gusts as well. Back to you guys. It's been incredibly hit or miss. Actually, right before we were waiting for this live shot, all of a sudden it became sunny and it was kind of calm and docile. And then 10 minutes later, it became like this, where it's incredibly intense. And so it can be easy to almost be caught by surprise by it, because you get lulled into a sense of comfort when the wind dies down, and even when the water gets a little calmer. The sun even popped out for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden, before you realize it, you can't even see out the windshield of your car, because the water is falling so intensely in that location, and it becomes so loud with that wind whipping through. I'm sure you can hear, and even so loud with the water and the rain falling at such a high intense level. But then I'm sure in the next few minutes this will die off as well, and we'll be comfortable again, because that's just how this has gone for most of the day. Yeah, sure. So that's the direction of Stewart over in that location. And what's been really interesting too is that when some of those really big bands move in, you're not even really able to see the shore, even from where we are. When that heavy intense rain comes in, it almost is like a fog moving over the top of the water, and you can't see much. But then as we come over in the other direction towards Hutchinson, you can see it quite clearly right now. And so that's not much of a problem at all, even in this intense wind. What we don't have right now is the rain. And so you can still see all those buildings over there, but when it was raining intensely before, you probably couldn't see much past where those birds are right now, and that's much less than halfway across the rest of the inlet from Sewell's Point. And so that's how intense and kind of crazy that wind and those downpours that we've seen too. But yeah, I mean, you can make out individual homes and individual features on all of those homes over there, and you can see the docks. When some of that rain would pour through, that wasn't possible at all, looking back in that direction towards Stewart. Yeah, no, this is, it's actually picked up a little bit. While the rest of the news has been good, that Hurricane Dorian has taken that northern turn we were hoping for, it's actually really intensified here on Seward's Point, where you see this heavy wind coming in, these big gusts, and this is one of the times it's been much more intense than some of the other time that we've been out here. And you can see what it's doing to the water, splashing it up onto here. Much more common to feel a spray as it comes off that water, or comes off those rocks and hits us there. And then looking back towards Stewart, that's your perspective to kind of see where the mainland is, and just how strong the wind is. And we were actually talking to some people who were saying that Bathtub Beach and Fletcher Beach, which is just on the other way over here, they were saying the waves over there were actually also really big, and even worse than when we were there yesterday, and we were watching the beach erode away from just in front of us. Hutchinson is over in that direction, but even just across this entire inlet bay here, you can see how strong this wind is and what it's still doing to all the water. And of course, what that means is that once we've started telling people about it, we see a whole bunch of people starting to come out to take pictures, becoming a little bit of a cottage industry over here, where we have a whole bunch of cars in the parking lots, and someone came down on a four-wheeler before with their whole family and took pictures in front of some of the bending over branches and the palm trees that look like they're about to go sideways. So people come down with their cell phones, take a handful of pictures, and take off too. But this wind is absolutely incredible, and it's the strongest that we've seen since we've been here and covering Hurricane Dorian over the past few days. Is the wind that's right now that we're bracing ourselves against, while it whips up all of this water and this surf and splashes up onto the rocks, guys.